Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. Pretty grim rack. Unbalanced. Do I change? Well, I don't think so, because I have vols, which is pretty blocky, and it scores 14 points. And although that might seem not very much, in the context of an S being worth about 8 points, you can see that it is. So, vols for 14. Wow, that looks pretty good. Must be fairly close to a bingo. Is there a 7 here? And one has not come to mind. What about the floaters? Not seeing anything with the V. The O looks promising, but I'm not seeing anything. Well, likewise with the L. Gosh. Hope I don't miss a bingo at this early stage of the game. And again with the S, that looks like there could be a bingo. Opponent may well play across the top of all three of those and spare my blushers. Well, he doesn't. And the new floater not great. But do I really have nothing through the O? Well, I don't think so. Now, I do have an I for going next to the Q. Wow, I am reluctant to give up on this rack. It looks so good. What about the L? That's not completely obstructed. No, just not seeing anything. Well, I may be missing something, but I do have hid for 28 and a decent rack leave. Wow, pick up both W's. I do have war on my rack, but not a huge number of opportunities to play anything. Great, opponent has opened the board up, which is useful. There is a spot now where I can get rid of my W's and leave a decent rack leave. So 21 points. Well, I think Murray's is good, and I think Shid is good, so I could be bingoing. What if either of those isn't good? Well, opponent blocks that spot, but war does take an E and an S, so I do have a bingo in row N. Nothing new created by opponent. I don't think Murray's has got an anagram. I'm not seeing anything through the G. So, where do I play? And these plays score the same. But the advantage of this spot is I'm creating access to 2 triple word squares, which means I get first go at one of them. On the other hand, if I play one to the left, there's only 1 triple word square available, and it's a triple-triple. But it's not a 7-letter lane. If opponent has a bingo beginning with a vowel, I could have just gifted him a 90 or 100 point play. So is there any way of resolving this dilemma? What about a play through AD? Nope, not seeing anything. Tricky. I think I will play here, because if I play one to the left, opponent's got an easy non-bingo spot. For example, he could play jump with a J, so I'm going with this. Wow, vowel-heavy, 5 of them. Is there a 5 vowel 8? This looks close to something. It's pa-ho-ho, not pa-to-to. And I'm not quite having the tiles for patootie. So I don't think I'm bingoing here, but I do have a scoring tile in the P. So I could play oop, well, in two different spots in row O. War only takes an S. Oop starts to perpetuate a run of vowel-heavy racks, and this is one of the problems with such racks. Wow, nice bingo by opponent. Pretty irrelevant where I'd placed Murray's, given his play. So do I have something better than oop? Something which basically plays off more vowels, leaves a better rackly, that's what I'm looking for. Well, through an I would have opiate. Can't see anything. Well, I have P through the G, leaving double O, but I'd rather get rid of the O's. So, do I play here for 23 or to the right? If I play to the right, I get 2 fewer points, but I'm taking out a bingo lane. Well, there are plenty of bingo lanes on the board. I am going with this. Well, pretty good. Although it's non-bingo-y, the Z and the F both help to deal with vowel-heavy rack leaves. High-scoring tiles like or go well with vowels. So, where's good for my Z or F? Unfortunately, neither works under this triple word square, but hopefully opponent will play there for a semi-pittance. Gosh, just looking at this triple letter square, I guess I've got ZE. Nice score by opponent. And I now have a nice play. I have Zeta and Jinglet. Anything better than that? Do I have anything, any something TZ plays? Wow, if I had a U, I would have Futs, but I don't. So, let me see what this scores. Zeta for 57, pretty good. And certainly I'm taking out a super hot spot. And this rack leave isn't terrible. I am going with this. Wow, I draw the first blank. And I was not expecting to have a bingo-y rack, but that's exactly what I've got. I would have penknife with a P or an N. No such floaters available. In fact, very few floaters available. But quite a few. Wow, fantastic bingo by opponent. There goes the second blank. I now trail by 30. Can I come back with a bingo of my own? Wow. Well, tricky. This looks so close, but it doesn't really look close enough. I certainly can't give up. But what do I look for? Do I look for a 7 or do I look for an 8 through F, R, and O? What would be the prefixes or suffixes with an F? Well, 4, I guess. It's not looking good. What component words have knife in them? Apart from penknife, which doesn't exist on the board. I'm looking for 7s primarily. So I've got the kin ending. 13 minutes on my clock. Gosh, that looks close. F and K don't go great together, so there's not going to be a ton of bingos available, if any. So that's the ing ending. Not seeing anything. What about this? So the floaters are F, I, R, and O. I have the like ending with fen, fen-like. Fern-like? Well, fern-like doesn't go. Fen-like does. I don't really like it. Should I try it? Well, yes, I think so. Is this good? If it is, it's 99 points. And it's not. Okay, so let me go back to what I was doing. The blank was an L. M. Knife men through an N. Okay, that's not available. Knife men through an M. Penknife, as discussed. Gosh, I could be missing something here. But I've not seen it. So, what to do? Knife doesn't get tripled. I can play Fenk. 33 points. That's keeping the F. Wow, this is tough. 11 minutes on my clock. And I just feel that there is a bingo here, but the clock is ticking. And it hasn't come to mind. So, is there anywhere good that I can get rid of K and F? So I would have Kenaf through an A. Well, let me see what this scores. 33 points, pretty good, and I am minded to get rid of F and K if I can, even at the expense of dropping points, because I have the blank, so I want to clear out every single non-bingo-y tile. Is there anywhere better for Kef? And, well, interesting. What about playing here? 38 points, that is a better score, I think. Yeah, and Cars takes an O and an S and an A in front. So I am creating a new bingo lane, and this is a better rack leave. Okay, so surely I am bingoing now. Opponent likely to take the F, so I'm not going to immediately consider that. What goes underneath the S? A T does. Well, opponent's gone there, 47 points. The F remains available. 9 minutes on my clock, 25 tiles to come. Do I have any bingo at all? There are 7-letter lanes on the board. Column 2, column 13. They're not massive ones. You a bit of a passion killer, except I do have the un prefix. Now, I have urgence. Does that play anywhere? I don't think it does. That's a shame. So what am I looking for? How worthwhile is it with 8 minutes on my clock to look for a bingo through the F? Gosh, I'm surely not going to try unfierce. That's too lame for words. What about the R? Sinecure through an S or an I. Crew bean as a 7. There's this floating E, which may be useful. Cars takes an A. nothing with the blank as an A, an O, likewise, and an S. Censure, that doesn't fit. Wow, what a frustrating rack. There's WE, there's AD. And I think I'm now looking for absolutely anything rather than the best. Way too much time has elapsed. 7 minutes on my clock. What am I looking for? F, I. Sinecure doesn't quite work with that location, and the R and the O. Surely I have something through this O which isn't too difficult to spot. Renounce. Yes. Okay, that's a completely face value bingo, but it's fantastic to have one. What am I looking for? The F? So I have under with the D. I am considering the F. That would be such a bigger score. That's unfierce, which I don't think is good. That's Lucerne. But is there one with the F? It feels so close. I'm going to have to speed up as soon as I've made this play. Coigneur is a 7. Gosh, close to Queen Cup, close to Frequence. That's Censure. Okay, so this is all a bit lame, but I do have a bingo. Renounce for 59. Wow, I draw Bornite out of the bag. I guess what I didn't do last turn was give proper consideration to bingos through this E. Well, too late now. Renounce doesn't take anything in front. Do I have Tenebrio? Yes, I do. Fantastic. Will it stay available? Surely opponent's distracted by this F. Wow. I have oh no, opponent's played there. Brutal. I was sure he was going to play through this F, and he didn't. So good play by opponent and a decent score. So I now trail by 12. What do I have with the F? I have Fibro, 16 tiles to come. They look fairly balanced. I have Bonfire. £39 points, and I think I do need the extra points. The board is so non-bingo-y that it's pointless sacrificing points for a good rack leave. I think it's just an absolute power burst now to outrun my opponent in a firestorm. Let's go. Pretty good. Pretty good for a lot of random tiles. Slightly vowel heavy. So I have AD. Not seeing anything through that. WE far less useful. Board looking rather tight. And wow, I have the final S, and of course Chins is good. So I'm not going to play off my S in a hurry. Any extensions to Zeta? Not that I can see. I have Atticize through a T. Now this is floating G. Not seeing anything beginning with that. 4 minutes on my clock, 10 tiles to come. Opponent's got 15 minutes on his clock. He has been playing fast. tricky rack to deal with here. Let me check the remaining vowels. 8 out of 17, so a balanced bag. Really tricky. Because it's so bingo-y, and yet there are no bingo lanes on the board, so what to do? The C is my scoring tile. 7 tiles left. I lead by 10 points. Can I just keep scoring? So, where can I play it? And I'd like to play off an I, duplicate I. There's no I's to come, but even so. Tricky. I lead by only 10 points. IMO not good. What about playing AI? Lots of A's to come, and this splits up the duplicate I. Only 14 points, but pretty good 5-letter set, and I have in mind column 13, and I'm short on time. I'm going with this. Well, I certainly do not have a bingo with this rack. And there are scoring tiles to come. I could regret that play. I do regret that play. It was awful. There it goes. Opponent going down with one of the big tiles, and there are still 3 or 4 to come. And I am struggling. C for 26, that's a decent score. No N's to come for ING. Just wondering if I can get the E this side. And it's the G I don't like. Is there a way of playing off 2 minutes on my clock? Is there a way of playing off the G with the C? And I'm looking for a comparable score given how important score is. There's only 4 points between us. Not enough time to look. Well, I could play G instead of C. The G feels very non-bingo-y. C goes much better with the S. No, I'm going with score. I'm going with C. Well, what do I have here? Not a bingo. And opponent's still got... what I didn't pay attention to was number of tiles in the bag. Fortunately, I've left one in the bag. And I have a 22-point lead. This is tight. And I'm still going to hang on to my S. That could get me out of jail with chins or zetas. Still not seeing an extension to zeta. So I'd like to play off the G. It's my scoring tile. Feg is good. Gug isn't. G is good. I could play Gelt. Interesting. Because once opponent's played, the bag is empty. This is my final rack, so I can play Gelt, and then I've got Sit and Chins. That's pretty handy. 2 minutes on my clock. What if Gelt is blocked? Oil is good. Wow, I have Glib. Interesting. And that leaves Stet, which again plays with Chins. That remains available. 34 points for opponent. Now, is he going out with Vola? 2 minutes on my clock. Vola, oval. Nothing with the A. Scores. I trail by 12. Horrendous. If opponent... interesting. Opponent does have or vowel through this R. I think that forces my hand. I'm playing Glib, and I'm hoping he doesn't have an alternative out. And I have Stet and Chins. which may be enough if opponent can't go out. Oh, I thought for a moment opponent did have an out at the top. So what are his not his bingos, his outs? He's got oval, vola. Well, I really haven't looked for him. He doesn't have a parallel play at the bottom of column 11, fortunately for me. So at the moment I haven't seen an out for him. Nothing goes in front of FE. What if he blocks chins? Well, Mayer takes an S, so I have stet. That'll be 18. Great, so this is a guaranteed win. 1 minute on my clock, that's 19. 1 minute on my clock, let me find the best spot for stet. That is 18, this is better. Anywhere better than 19? No, I don't think so. And the final score, 432 for my opponent, 448 for me, a winning margin of 16 points, so a huge, huge win. Let's see what I missed. Wow, that was an exciting endgame, very close. Did I make heavy weather of it? Well, this was my opening rack. Interesting, I played vols and I could have played voms. Definitely a better play. So, an inauspicious start. Opponent plays cheese. And no bingo here. But if I'd played voms, I would have had an L rather than the M. Well, no, it hasn't come to mind, but fortunately I didn't miss a bingo here. And I play hid for 28, that looks fine. Opponent's rat, not great, plays donged. And D11. Ah, well, wid is good. So war for 31 was available. What do? I play war for 21, so I don't know why I missed playing in row D. Certainly would have been a lot better. Now, opponent's struggling. Plays gran. And I have Murray's in a couple of spots, and I struggle to choose between them, and still do. I have a 70-point lead, but that vanishes as opponent bingos. And I have this rack. What do? I play oop for 23. Topi 08. Ah, because of ST? Yeah, well, is that a better play? It's a decent score. AEET is not a terrible rack leave. I think that compares reasonably favourably with AO. I think AO is probably pretty bad, probably about -7 or 8. AEET, also minus, but maybe... Well, AET is going to be positives. How much does the extra E drag it back? Probably into negative territory, but maybe only -2 or 3. So maybe a 5-point difference in spread there, which makes the moves fairly close. Opponent's rat plays a jingle. And now I have Zeta for 57 and nothing better. So I have a 40-point lead. Doesn't last long. Great spot by opponent of Fibrous. An FU bingo. Not many of those. And now, critical moment. I trail by 30. Do I have a bingo? No! Wow! Okay, G3, Kiev. That was my play. I really was expecting something to pop up there. So I lead by 6 points. This was super tight all the way through. Opponent plays socks. And now I play renounce for 59. The only other bingos were in the same spot through the O, and collier, and renounce the same word with the N, with the blank in a different spot. So absolutely very slim pickings on offer. So I lead by 18. Opponent plays yap, blocking my Tenebrio bingo. And The best I can do is bonfire, but that looks fine. And now I have a 27-point lead, 10 tiles in the bag. Opponent plays lout. And what do I do here? I did not feel good about this. I played AI, keeping sights. Well, I feel a lot better. There's only 14 points on offer, 14 extra points on offer. And sights is a really nice rack cleave compared to IIS. It's very flexible and it holds out the possibility of a bingo to a far greater extent than SII does. But I don't think score and rack cleave tells the full story, because at this stage of the game, all moves are very board specific in terms of their value. So I don't think that AI was a great play, but I don't think it was a disaster either. Opponent's rack plays Ha, and I didn't feel good at this stage. I don't have a bingo. I trail by 4 points. There seems to be quite a bit of scoring potential left. 3 tiles in the bag, which I overlooked as I went for my C play for 26 points. So opponent with all of the scoring tiles. However, he trails by 22 points. And there's 1 tile in the bag, so he can't plan an out in 2. He plays Mayor for 34. My rack, no bingo here. And I play Glib for 26, and that is definitely the play, because I am blocking Orval, which would have won, I think. Yeah, because I lead by 14. Well, I could have led by a little bit more, but Orval scores between 20 and 30 points, and there would have been count back, so absolutely essential I blocked that. And opponent does not have an out. Fantastic. He plays Avo for 19. And wow, there was something very good I missed. K11. Oh wow, Wheaters, Yi and At for 31 points. So a little bit of glory left on the table at the end there, but that's all it was, because it didn't impact the result of the game, which was a slim win for myself. So absolutely fantastic stuff. Very interesting game, very close game throughout, and lots of interesting racks to consider. So not a bingo fest, but still a fascinating game nonetheless. Many thanks to my opponent for a good battle. I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.